Average Joe travels the California Inscape. Season 7. Dummies, Dolls, and Detectives. Episode 4. Stir-fried, surfside, lying puppet gangster caper. Story conceived and written by Penguin Pete. Featuring the vocal stylings of This Is Signal, with Asher Ephraim as Spanky, and the Inscape theme by Ignore That Door. So there we were, hunched in the theater balcony in the dark, looking down at the tense balance of conflict below. I counted heads, but it was more effective counting Tommy machine gun barrels. The dummies outnumbered a team average at least 20-1. Their gang's leader, Bugsy Moonshine, had just mounted the stage to deliver his demands. They wanted the same thing we wanted, the same thing the CIA agent who subcontracted us wanted, which was no coincidence. Information on the whereabouts of I almost said Sammy Spunker. On Jack Carson, rocket scientist and would-be apprentice ventriloquist. The puppets had burst upon the scene while we were working undercover, and damned fine cover we'd had too. Now they had the entire theater, audience, staff, ventriloquists, freelance detective agents, cigarette girls, and all, held hostage. Naturally, before I'd worked out a way to get us all quietly out of there, who decided to play her abrupt opening gambit but my own partner?
It might interest you to know that I have right here in my purse an entire classified dossier on the missing rocket scientist, Mr. Jack Carson.
Well, so much for the quiet way. I knew that Anne was not actually intending to surrender, but all I could do now was squat. Even less, perhaps, diddly squat. And pray that step 2 of her little plan didn't involve burning the theater down.
What do you say there, Toots? You got the goods? Hand 'em over.
Well, here, help yourself. But be careful reaching in there. My pet baby dragon is sleeping in there, too.
You's gotta be kidding. A baby dragon. What kind of cracker story is that?
I'm a witch, and I have a pet baby dragon in my purse. She's protective, though.
So, take it out and show us.
I most certainly will not. She is a service dragon in training. I don't want her to be cooed and coddled over. I want her to be trained to bite.
You're a riot, Dame. Okay, I heard enough of these fairy tales, you see. Where's this dossier? It bit my hand!
Looks like she left all your fingers intact. She must like you.
Bugsy was now curled on the floor, having dropped his weapon. So far, Anne's plan seemed pretty short-term. Spanky nudged me, carrying the puppet I'd previously liberated from the theater's Lost and Found.
Look here, this one's got a fake plastic gun. Can't even put it down, it's molded to his fist like. And the rest of them are exactly like him.
With that, Spanky nimbly hopped his way to the balcony railing and down to the theater seats below, landing with a graceful little bounce on a seat cushion. He grabbed the nearest puppet mobster by the Tommy gun and flung it overhead, bashing it to smithereens on the seat in front of him. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may have your attention. Thank you. The puppets surrounding you are just plastic and cloth. They don't have real guns. What happened next could only be described as a dummy massacre. The previously terrorized theater audience now realized that they had the upper hand, and the adrenaline and fury kicked in. Within 15 seconds, certainly no more than 16, every dummy in the theater was a pile of smashed, screwed-in limbs and crumpled Tommy gun rifles. Spanky joined in, leaping over rows of seats to grab dummies and smash them together. I'd never seen him enjoy himself so thoroughly. But I also noticed down there their leader Bugsy crawling under rows of seats to get away to the wings. During the fracas, I made my own way back downstairs and arrived in the main aisle, where Anne was calmly picking up her purse. Unfortunately, Bugsy had scooted out of sight. Remind me to thank your pet dragon later.
Mousetrap. I had it set up and waiting in my purse. Did you really think I had a baby dragon in my purse? Do you know how endangered those are? How much hassle I'd have to go through with customs and zoning?
Well, a mousetrap in your purse doesn't make you sound any less eccentric.
It was Muriel's idea. One of those props he carries around. Ah, here comes the cavalry.
Attention citizens, do not be alarmed, we are here to protect you. We need you to evacuate the building. Sorry folks, a magician's trick just got out of hand and we have to step in. Go home to hug your loved ones. Thank you for your cooperation.
You know, Joe, Muriel is a pill, but he did help me see that I don't have to go after the big splashy tricks. I just realized I'm always trying to prove myself. I'm always showing off my skills. I just want people to go, wow, look at her. She's really good at that. Muriel has got that one thing in his life I never get. Applause, acceptance, recognition.
What, and I cannot stress this enough, the heck went down in here? A massive puppet depopulation event. Harshest opening night review I've ever seen. So these dummies had the fake guns. Who fired the real gun? Hey, freeze, dirtbag.
Ease off. It's me, Spanky. I'm just dressed like a puppet for the show.
Their leader, Bugsy whatever, must have slithered away when the party started. He's got a real gun because he's a real human leading an army of toys. Short fella, though. His natural aura gave him away, since the rest of these little guys don't have one.
Not to mention he left a trail of blood from his wounded hand. From the mousetrap. Mousetrap? How? Never mind. The gunfire prompted Muriel the Magnificent to signal us on his wire. Speaking of whom... Oh, Muriel's over here by the bar. Bunch of puppets jumped him. He's okay. Nothing hurt more than his pride, I imagine.
I'm never working with puppets again.
Leave it to Muriel to be the only flesh casualty in an otherwise one-sided puppet scrum.
I heard gunfire and signaled you and fled. Just need your mind as your men trained me to do.
Looks like you got trampled only because you were blocking their way to the door.
Why didn't you zap them with your wandamajig?
Oh, I've been having trouble with my wand lately. It's crooked and shoots off when it shouldn't.
Bet they make a pill for that someday. We have a man down. We need a stretcher and a medical unit here now. Copy. Now am I to understand that several short subjects were spotted exiting the theater? They got through the net? Copy. I'm executing procedure 11-9. Clearance code 80 Bravo Tango Fanta. Initiate and confirm. Have you ever had one of those days when you wish you'd taken that transfer to Cuba?
Santeria is not my favorite school of witchcraft. Too many chicken guts.
Since these puppets just managed to take a theater hostage and many of them are now at large, this is a matter of critical national security. I'm afraid I must detain you as wards of the state, and you know. We're deputized to assist you while you take over the case. Time and a half rate for overtime. Got it? Seeing as how we're now down one house explosion and one theater evacuation, not to mention a terrorist gang of puppets running what is very likely amok on our discreet, low-key, undercover operation, what's the next step you'd recommend? Something to get us any closer to finding Jack Carson? I say we check the hospital where Jack Carson was born to see if it burns down. But for an immediate course of action, I recommend R&R. I always think better after a hearty pancake and whiskey breakfast. Oh, hey, hold on a moment. This fell out of Bugsy Moonshine's pocket when he was crawling under the seats. Bunch of notebook paper. Oh, hey, Coop, have I got a scoop? This appears to be Carson's correspondence with Bugsy. Good catch. Let me see that.
Oh, the medical team's taking Muriel away. Bye, Muriel. Thanks for the mousetrap.
Be careful with his coat. His doves aren't coat broken. Oh, look, the bar. Oh, barkeep. I'll have a shot of whatever bottle didn't get smashed in the fight. And so we stayed overnight on the government's dime at a nearby plush hotel with CIA spooks guarding the door. The hotel seemed to be exclusively for government and military personnel. And us. At breakfast, we recouped with Cooper. The letters between Moonshine and Carson at last filled in some of the blanks. Moonshine had reached out to Carson after meeting him at an industrial chemistry seminar. The original request was for a formula using specific ingredients of plant extract which could form an ink cheap enough to print on mass-produced lick-and-stick tattoos, exactly like the kind you'd buy out of vending machines. Carson dutifully worked out a process and delivered it, but Moonshine altered the deal in asking for different versions of the formula. It was at this point that Carson found out that the stickers would be used to create a puppet army, and, not unreasonably, started getting cold feet. This was just after Moonshine had offered Carson his own animated dummy servant. Nothing like a stack of business correspondence to clear up a conspiracy. So now I could see Carson pretending to accept the dummy, only to wipe off its magical insignia, rip out its guts, and stuff it with a bomb which he left in the passenger seat of his car in the middle of nowhere. A special bomb that would only trigger if it came near his house. Bugsy Moonshine had gone ahead printing up the stickers. Luckily, he was the studious type who saved every receipt. That told us that he hired a Chinese fortune cookie company to print off the ink tattoos. Cooper, commanding his forces from our brunch table, had agents all over the cookie factory. We also overheard him on the radio as his troops hunted down stray puppets all over town, until we were almost certain that the dummies were contained to our area. Except for one. There was a huge Bullock's department store across from the theater, closed today because it was Sunday. Several short figures had been spotted heading for the building, and it seemed Bugsy had been among them. Now, unless Bullock's toy department stocked ventriloquist's dummies, there wasn't much danger of the dummy mob replenishing its ranks. But if the stickers also worked on other posed human figures, such as mannequins, we could start getting bigger problems. This is foreshadowing. Cooper and my team were then dropped off by his driver, standing on the glittering Los Angeles sidewalk looking up at the looming multi-story department store facade. Operation Howdy Doody would come to a close here. And this time, we weren't messing around in the peanut gallery.